Hey guys, Justin Henry with Emerge Marketing Strategies. Today I'm sitting with Jairon Jackson, and I'm excited for this conversation. We're going to talk about business, community involvement, and that next generation of entrepreneurs, of people just trying to do well, and just how we can make an impact as young entrepreneurs and people in the community, college educated, and getting everybody up to speed and affording the same opportunities. Check it out. Hey guys, Justin Henry with Emerge Marketing Strategies on another episode of EmergeUp. We're here with Jairon Jackson. How are you doing today, Jairon?
Doing awesome. I'm doing awesome.
Good to hear. We're going to talk a lot about his foundation and some things he's doing with his nonprofit and just his journey in general. And I'm really excited to have this conversation. I'm glad you could be a part of this today. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Awesome. So my name is Jairon Jackson. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Architects of Hope, which is artists and athletes organizing higher education. Me and my twin brother, who we're co-founders, we have been working with the youth for about 10 years. Sounds awesome. Like, because of our age, sounds like a really long time, but it's really not. Graduated from Sac State. I have my degree in criminal justice. My brother has his in communications. So coming back to the neighborhood that we grew up in, we saw an issue and a problem in the way that the after-school space and the kids were being served. So us being from the same neighborhood, us wanting to give back to our community after graduating, playing football too as well, we started diving into working for different districts, different organizations to understand the land and the field and the area of the business and the realm that we were getting into. So after seeing some things that we liked, seeing some things that we did not like, we decided to found our own organization and focus on those student athletes, because we believe that student athletes and artists are the ones that lead the culture on campus. Right. So if you can change the culture on campus through the athletes, then you can change the community. So our vision and dream is to transform our communities back to where they are helping, they're doing what community should be doing. Right. You know, we serve South Sacramento, Oak Park, the Del Paso Heights area. These are historically low-income areas that there are a lot of crime, a lot of violence, a lot of poverty. Right. There's a lot of reports coming out in the past couple of years saying like the infant mortality rate in certain area codes and zip codes. People are dying a lot faster in certain areas. So those are the areas that we wanted to specifically serve, but not just do it on a level to where we're giving them these fly-by-night different programs and going in once a month or just doing like conferences. We wanted to be able to work with them on a weekly and on a daily basis. That's awesome. Yes. That's awesome. And you touched on just having that idea. Yes. Being and saying that you wanted, it started from nothing, honestly. Absolutely. And maybe I want to hear a little bit more about how you got into that, because that's an exciting thing for you. When you touched on something that impacted your life being a student athlete and seeing how that transpired into a little bit more. Talk to me about your journey, maybe like going back, was it high school, college? Like where did that come from? It actually, so if we have to get there, we have to go back 3 generations. So my grandmother is actually one of the first, she was one of the first Black families in Del Paso Heights. Okay. She was very involved in the community, in the churches, in the school districts at Grant Union High School. Okay. So she then... Did you go to Grant? I did not go to Grant, but my mother and all her brothers and sisters all went to Grant. There you go, legacy, yeah. Legacy, exactly. So my uncle, Dr. Alan Rowe, who was the founder of the UCAN Foundation, he truly inspired me and my brother to give back to the community in a major way. Right. So when we became of age and we were old enough, we began working for him. We then transitioned us working for my uncle, seeing the work that he did, into something that better fit and better suited what me and my brother were capable of. Gotcha. That being a student athlete in Sacramento, it's a great honor. Being high school football, then going to Sac State and playing college ball, but not having the feeling like I was a failure because I didn't go to the NFL, right, or I didn't go to the league, or I'm not overseas playing pro. I think there's a stigma on student athletes, and if you're not in the NFL or in the NBA after college, it's like you failed and you dropped the ball, but that's never what sports should be about. Sports is about learning, teamwork, dedication, and knowing that you can, do something and transition that to something else.
Well, and you make a good point there, because as individuals, you have, that's who you inspire. When you're a kid, you want to be a sports player. You want to be, the musician, or they have those positions out there and career choices out there, and it's easy to gravitate towards those because of the impact that's made.
Yes.
And I think that you're touching on a really good topic, is that people who are college educated, even those who aren't, but people who are willing to step into the community and make a difference can still have that same impact.
Yes.
Even if it's maybe a little tighter scale, but there's still a larger scale there. But there's an impact that can be made by each individual person. And you mentioned Sac State, man. I know that's where we've crossed paths definitely before.
Absolutely.
And that educational piece, man, talk to us a little bit about how that, because I know some of that probably happened at college. You probably started to get a lot of these ideas.
Absolutely.
Because that's where, entrepreneurs, business owners, that's where you start to figure yourself out. You make that transition from high school, you're in college, you start networking with other individuals, growing a community on campus. You're there for 4 years, people sharing the same vision, the same aspirations that you want. And I know a lot of that had to have started there at college. So tell us a little bit about that.
No, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing for us was when we got to Sac State, we were playing football. I was a criminal justice major, and it was a tough situation. Right. Being one of the first generations going to college, doing football, trying to study grades and keep everything up. But when I realized once I got done with football, me and my brother started doing events on campus, started throwing kind of parties, doing these different entrepreneurial things that we're in college, but we're utilizing our network. Me and my brother created the Sacktown Hopper.
What's that?
Which was a bus that would take you from Sac State, and it would take you to all the clubs downtown. But people say, they look at it like, oh, it's fun. It takes coordinating. You gotta have buses, you gotta pay people, you gotta have gas, you gotta connect with the club owners, to get people in. There's a lot of coordinating. I also had the ability to work at the well. And the well is Sac State's recreational facility, and I was a marketing and special events manager, supervisor. Okay. So that gave me a lot of tools and a lot of opportunity to collaborate and work and do projects on campus on a major level. So I think that my college experience definitely prepared me and helped me for the role that I'm in today. Even though I graduated in 2013 and it's been a gap of time, I think that in the end, you have to kind of like let the oven bake, let the bread bake in the oven.
Yeah.
If you take it out too early, it's not going to be right.
That also sets the foundation for a lot of other things that you're doing. And one, having to build that network, reaching out to vendors, participants. There's a lot of outreach in that, and developing. And through that coordination, I'm sure you met a lot of people. You probably talked with business owners. Probably talked with other, just other affiliations, organizations in there. And it's crazy how a network is so important. Your network really determines how far you're going to expand. And you start making those connections early. You never know where they're going to lead to, because you can have somebody that comes in to play in college and not talk to them again for years. And you never know the lasting impact that your brand, and who you are. And as you develop that, you developed the Sacktown bus.
The Sacktown Hopper,
Sacktown Hopper, right. You've developed that, and I think some of those, you're probably feeling a lot of the same things that you were using to implement that today.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So talk about that growth process. Because, taking that idea, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that went well and some probably things that did not go right.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit more about just your experience towards gravitating towards you right now.
So in college, it was a great time to where we were able to coordinate, put these events on, put these tournaments, and it pushed us to a level to where we were trying to engage. Engage. That's the key element that a lot of people miss, especially in the youth and the nonprofit space and the after school space. It's engagement. You can have the greatest program or the greatest item or material, but if people can't see it and they can't find it, they're not going to want it. So I think what we learned was we had to transition engaging college kids to engaging high school, middle school, and youth.
Right.
So that was really our transition to where we had to take a step back from the entertainment side of what we were doing and focus on education, programs, program development. So a lot of things that I used from my days doing events and marketing and branding, we use that in our day-to-day with the kids.
Right.
You know, getting the kids excited, engaging, making flyers and doing events for them, things of that nature. So it was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so you mentioned a key word. I like to touch on it too, engagement.
Yes.
Because, you know, in my world, the marketing world, a lot of engagement is on social media or with your business. You're doing outreach to a specific audience, or, you know, you're on social media page, and, you know, a lot of times people are, say for instance, for example, Instagram.
Yes.
You know, people post a picture and not comment on anybody else's businesses. It's hard for them to respond to messages,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
So, but you mentioned that it creates people know about you. Nobody will know about you if you don't engage.
Yes.
And so, for, you know, your audience is going to be the youth.
Yes.
And with your engagement and reaching out to them, what are you guys doing? How are you guys reaching out to them and providing an outlet for that youth, that transition, the next up and coming generation, to start to make that impact and having those conversations?
What we've been able to do is we've been early on the social media outlets to where we interact and engage with our students online. If a student connects with us, sends a comment, like their page, send a message, hey, how's everything going? Are you okay?
Awesome.
What's going on? So we were not afraid to connect socially online, unlike a lot of traditional education spaces. They would make you feel like, the student would be like, oh, hey, Mr. So-and-so, can I follow you on your Facebook or your Instagram? Like, oh, no, like, you can't.
It's crazy.
It's like, your life is that popping and crazy, right? A student, you know, that's how you become human. And unfortunately, our youth, especially in the inner city, don't think that their teachers and their educators are human people.
Yes.
So when you're able to see people on the social and their families and their kids, it's like, oh, this is a person.
Right.
You know, they have a heart, they have feelings. And I think that's what we're trying to bring to education, to, you know, youth engagement, is that ability to engage on a real heart-to-heart level with our students. Now let my kids know, like, I've struggled, I failed.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I meet them and as soon as I talk to them, I tell them my struggles and just funny stories of things that weren't funny at the time, but they're funny now. So they know that, you know what, okay, cool, he's flawed, he's a person. So now I can open up to him about things that I'm going through. Right. Now we can create a real dialogue and a real conversation.
You make such a good point, because I talk about that a lot, like with businesses and just in my space in general. I talk about that social impact and people, how they don't connect. Because if you were walking down the street, you meet one of those kids, right? You interact with them all the time. You're going to have a natural conversation.
Absolutely.
You're not going to just walk right past them, or if they come up and ask you a question, you're not going to just, you know, ignore them or not hear what they're having to say. Well, on social, I feel like it's so different. You know, and you want to engage with them. You want them to be a part. You want that trust factor. You want that authenticity to come out. When you're talking with these individuals, you're talking with these students, they'll feel empowered by being able to be branded with you. And it's unfortunate that a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses don't carry that same philosophy. Because as you connect with your audience, they become more in tune with what you do. They buy into the platform. They buy into you. They see you for who you are. And I think reaching out to them, that especially for your organization, that's necessary. You need them to be involved. You need them to have that impact, because that next generation is what's going to fuel us.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be
just like for a business, their audience is what pays their bills and does that type. For you, what your message is, that audience is going to be empowered to make the next generation be better. What you're doing right now, we talked legacy earlier. That's 2 generations away. You're helping that right now. So talk a little bit about why you think that's important. Why you feel like them, you know, at that specific age, that age group, why they need to have that type of interaction with people like yourself, organizations that make a difference like yours.
And then, you know, going back to when I kind of talked about the saxophone hopper in my college days, understanding being an entrepreneur early. We thought it was very important to engage the youth to where now they're the new entrepreneurs when they're seniors in high school, when they're going into college. So putting that gem and that thought and that ideal of being an entrepreneur in their head and letting them see what we're doing on the social.
Yeah.
So now we're not just talking about it, now they're seeing us do it.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Sacktown Hopper, and I want to touch on that a little bit more. So talk to me like paint a picture of what that looked like. You know what I mean? Like that's an interesting topic because I think that a lot of those, that generation is going to be in the exact same position you were.
Absolutely. So the Sacktown Hopper, we're in our early, 20s, young college kids, just wanting to have fun.
Right.
And, you're in college, you do your schoolwork, but there's also a social side of college. That because of Sac State being a commuter school and a school that's not a destination campus. I'm born and raised Sacramento 3 generation. So I'm like, oh, that's not gonna be my college experience.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a great time. So instead of complaining about things, we created something because we saw a need.
Right.
We saw something that needed to happen, and because of our friends and the people around us, we're able to help and support us do that. So it was definitely trial and error, and it was definitely something that pushed us to be creative, pushed us to be entrepreneurs before we knew we were entrepreneurs, which was something that was really fun and exciting for us. We would also, throw big events. Right. And with that, people are like, oh, are you guys making money doing X, Y, and Z? I'm like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
It's not when you're in college and you're young, you're working with people that own these establishments. It's really just learning and being able to learn in the business world.
Right.
So, but to bring that all together, we want our students, our high school students, we want to be able to give them the entrepreneurship bug early. Doesn't mean they need to go and work for themselves and not have a job, but we want them to understand that you can create something on your own and you don't have to always have a boss or somebody that's telling you what to do.
Yeah,
we want the creative freedom for our young people.
Talking about just kind of, your Lansing, your transition from, college kid to creator to entrepreneur and impacting the new generation, man. I love what architects focus on.
Yes,
and tell me a little bit more about what you guys got going on and your plans for the current year.
Got you. So we're currently in 10 different schools and across Sac City Unified School District. We are in Rosemont and Hiram Johnson High School. We're running our Men's Leadership Academy for the past 3 years. We're at Sam Brannan and Wilsey Wood Middle School, where we've been for the past 2 years. We currently fought tooth and nail to get Albert Einstein Middle School, which is my middle school that I attended.
There you go.
Which was really exciting to come back home. And then we have 2 elementary schools. So we're creating a whole wraparound program for elementary, middle, and high school so students can have a consistent program. What we were able to do with that is partner with Sac City Unified School District, running the Men's Leadership Academy, which comes from Barack Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. So Sacramento is in the forefront for the work for young men of color. We've also worked with the Black Child Legacy, which their goal is to reduce African American child death by an extreme rate. We want to bring that down.
Right.
And that is partnering with the Sierra Health Foundation. So we have been able to partner with major players in this space, but the biggest thing for us is getting ready for next year as well. Currently, Sac City Unified School District is $40 million in debt. Our government is shut down right now. Yeah. Sac City Unified has the highest suspension rates for African American males out of any district in California. So those 3 points alone says that we don't just need to continue this, we need to put this on a bigger scale, on a massive level. And I don't think that we need to depend on our districts, on our governments, on our state, for people, for these programs and for support. So that's why we're asking the people, we're asking community members to help us get those funds and be able to get those programs to continue those, because unfortunately our students are losing out. Students are dying, kids are homeless, kids are going to jail because they don't have that extra help and that extra support. Right. And we know that we need that, but because unfortunately we're in a really tough situation, the kids are not getting that. You know, and that's what, for me and my brother, being young social entrepreneurs, we feel like it is so necessary to educate the public, educate the people.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate it. I think that's a great message and something you know, everybody definitely needs to take into account, man. I appreciate this conversation.
I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey guys, really enjoyed this conversation today with Jairon, and you know, it was great to hear about the Architects of Hope and some things that he had going on, but also the message that he wanted to deliver to young entrepreneurs, people that are, you know, maybe not even have the direction that they want to go. He talked about student athletes a lot, and I think that's an important message in finding your why, finding your purpose, finding things that you can do and that you can pivot off of. What do you love to do that will help make an impact for the next generation? I really enjoyed this conversation today because it didn't just touch on that. We also talked about the importance of reaching out. And his branding, you know, he does a lot of things with branding, but reaching out, getting out there and not just in person, but also socially, interacting with others, man. And I really enjoy what he's doing and looking forward to what Architects of Hope is going to bring. So check out our other previous conversations as well. We talked with Jermaine Wilson about personal branding, marketing in general, but feel free to check out our other conversations and make sure to follow Emerge Marketing Strategies at EmergeMKTG, the Justin Influencer, at Justin Influencer on all social media platforms.